Hello, all. This is Dr. Dave Maslach talking to you about reciprocity.com. The E is written with a 3. And in this particular video, I actually want to talk to you about how to actually deal with public speaking as a PhD in business administration. So this is part of my Thesis Help series where I just try to be as helpful to graduate students, doctoral students, whoever it is, anybody that's interested in doing research, and try to be as helpful as I possibly can. If you don't know, I'm actually a professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship. So this is one thing that I actually had to deal with a fair bit with how to actually do public speaking as a PhD in business administration, right? So we often think the public perception is that a business school professor actually is a phenomenal speaker, right? That they're somehow heroic, or that they go out and they actually do a fair bit of public speaking, consulting, and whatnot. You know, the sort of typical view is the Harvard Business School kind of professor, that they go out, they're amazing speakers. The trouble is that the vast majority of us are not all that good at public speaking, and we feel very, very nervous about it. So when you start out as a PhD, if you're thinking about doing this particular route as a graduate student, you will feel very nervous. So when you actually start out your first and second year, so this is my own personal experience. What happened to me, I was doing a tremendous amount of research, and I actually got into the career because I loved research and I loved sort of digging down and getting sort of acquainted with, just doing sort of the research stuff. I was kind of a curious person. I've always been very curious in that. So I wanted to do a PhD because of the research, which is, really good motivation to do this career, because there's lots of, there's a lot of, there's a tremendous amount of research that you have to do. In fact, that's probably the biggest priority. If you watch some of the other videos, you'll see that. But, another component is public speaking. And, I started developing, because I was doing so much research and spending time by myself with my own thoughts, I started to get like weird tics and things like that because I was just kind of isolated. And then when I actually got in front of an audience, I felt very anxious and very nervous to do that. That was just one of those things. It was kind of an awful feeling, because you're forced to spend all this time by yourself, and then you're forced to sort of speak in front of other people. It's kind of really isolating to some degree. But there's a lot of different ways to get over this fear of public speaking. And I think, these are some of the lessons that I learned to get over those weird, anxious feelings. But there's a lot more to this, and you should try this out on, go out and do your own public speaking to sort of figure this stuff out. So the first thing is just jump right in and start talking right away. And I know that you're going to be shy. Most of you who are thinking of doing this, there's kind of two types of people. There's lots of different types of people, obviously, but there's two different types of people. One person is thinking of doing this particular career of getting a PhD in business administration because that they like to talk, that they're good at it. Maybe they're a consultant or something like that, and they actually want to become sort of the speaking professor. But then there's another group that are just curious, like myself, and spend most of their time in books and reading and things like that. And so actually getting in front of people is really tough. So if you're that kind of person, just start practicing of just jumping in with the conversation. So if you're in graduate school, just start actually having a conversation with other people, start talking to, if you're in your graduate school seminars, just actually start talking as much as you possibly can. And it's going to feel like you're talking a lot, but in fact, you're not really talking a lot because you're really nervous and you're probably going to hold back. Just start being part of the academic conversation as much as you possibly can. And don't be afraid of that. That's going to get you over this sort of fear quickest, is just to jump right in and start doing it. Because hold that thought. I'm going to talk about this in a minute. So, another thing is when you do make mistakes, especially if you're in this career, you're gonna be really weird and you're gonna feel really awkward. And that's normal. That's okay. And when you do make these mistakes and you make kind of a weird thing, just give yourself some grace and cut yourself some slack somehow. And just know that everybody goes through this, and that some people are going to jump on you. There's going to be academics that are going to jump on you, and know that it's more of a reflection on them than it is a reflection on yourself. You're trying to do your job. You're learning through this particular thing. And, if somebody jumps on you and says, that's a really stupid idea and really cuts you down, just know that it's probably them, not you. And I know that's tough to sort of deal with, but that's just one thing that you're going to have to deal with, that there's a lot of people that are just as awkward as you. And one sort of mechanism to get over this awkwardness is to be aggressive. And, that's them dealing with that particular issue. Now, a third thing that I think is really incredibly important that I did, so this is about my third or fourth year when I was spending a tremendous amount of time on my own research and kind of getting in my own head and not really talking to a lot of people. I joined Toastmasters. So first of all, I had a big support group from my family and stuff like that. But they don't know how to deal with some of these things. There's lots of things that you deal with that your family members are not going to deal with. So you should probably go out and join some sort of public speaking group. So Toastmasters, for example, was really good for me. And what was really nice is that there was a lot of teachers that were there as well, or people that actually speak in front of groups, and they would give you tips, and they're really, really nice. It was one of the best experiences that I had. And, the only reason I stopped was because I actually got a job and had to move someplace else. So I stopped, and, I had kid commitments and stuff like that. But, being somebody that's single, it would be a really good activity to jump into that. It's fun. People nerd out about this stuff, but you learn a lot in the Toastmasters thing. The other thing that you can sort of recognize, so the fourth thing that you should probably recognize, is everybody, the vast majority of the people, unless they are an extrovert, and even them, they are really nervous when they talk in front of people as well. And that's just kind of a natural human reaction that we have. So very senior people in the field, no matter where you are, where you're talking, very senior people get nervous all the time in doing the public speaking thing. And it does get worse when you're speaking in front of a research audience, for example. They are, you're a lot more worried about what they're going to say than, say, undergraduate students or something like that. But, even the undergraduate students, you're really nervous in the first couple of times that you actually speak in front of them. And that is normal, and that feeling, you just kind of have to, the more that you do it, the more that you kind of get used to it. And you just got to get yourself out there and start speaking as much as you possibly can. And the fifth thing that I learned, and this is kind of a recent sort of breakthrough with my own thoughts, and I think it was Simon Sinek. I was listening to some of the stuff that he says. He's kind of got some neat ideas once in a while. And the idea is to recognize that these feelings of fear and anxiety and nervousness are the exact same feelings that you get when you're excited. So those feelings, when you get up there and you're thinking about that before you actually go do any particular public speaking, it's because you're excited. It's not because you're nervous that you are getting those feelings, that sort of jittery feeling that you get, or, shaking, and or that feeling in your stomach that you get. That's the same feelings that you're going to get when you're excited. And if you can sort of repeat in your brain and program in your brain as much as you possibly can, and think about this, that it's excitement, just reframing that particular anxiety in that way and that feeling in that way, it is a wonderful way to deal with these particular emotions. It kind of relaxes you a bit, not a lot, but it does relax you when you have to try to reframe those particular feelings as excitement, because you're willing to jump out there rather than feeling very afraid to jump out there. You're much more like, okay, I'm going to jump out there and try to have fun. And once you get over that feeling, and once you start, it's just those first few moments when you start that you have those particular anxieties or those particular those feelings. But then once you start doing it, it feels great, and you start talking and feeling a lot more out there. So this is part of the reason why I actually do this whole reciprocity, these videos, for example. It helps me get into public speaking. It helps me sort of communicate with a regular audience. I'm probably benefiting more from this than other people are because of this. It's a really nice feeling for me. And, you know, to be honest, I actually want to do the whole reciprocity project to help out other people that have, you know, that are going through a lot of these issues as well within graduate school with doing a PhD and stuff like that, because nobody's doing that at this moment. And I want to help you out as much as I possibly can going forward. And, you know, this is an issue that we deal with. So, you know, just know that there's other people out there, I myself included, that have to deal with these particular issues as well. So, if you like this video, make sure you give me a thumbs up, and as well, do subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'll try to put out this stuff as much as I can going forward. And I do every day, by the way, if you want to check out some of those videos. All right, so take care and have a wonderful day. All right, bye.